Chris Winters here, and in this video I'm going to go over a hosting company that allows you to use different IP addresses. And the reason that that's important is that in an effort to make sure that you are leaving no footprints behind, in other words, maybe you've got all of your domain names registered under a different name, but if they're all under the same IP address, then you really haven't hidden anything. So, but the challenge is that to get accounts that have different IP addresses for every one of your domain names can get really expensive. If you shop around, say for SEO hosting is usually what it's called, then it's usually anywhere between $3.99 and $6.99 per IP address. And so if you got 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 domains, which is really easy to do, especially if you're creating a blog network, especially if you've got clients, so on and so forth, they can get very expensive monthly. So there is a way around that, and I don't know anyone else who's kind of teaching this kind of stuff out here, but this is the account. It's called hostnine. And what you want to do here, we're going to go through this process. So by now, before we even get started on this, by now what you should have done is you should have a very clear understanding of how to purchase a domain name and register it under a different name other than your own. And the account that I do that through is GoDaddy. That's the example that I give. I don't know how to do it through any other provider, so please don't email me with those kind of questions. But with GoDaddy, I've given step-by-step instructions of how I purchase a domain, how I buy how I create a user profile for each domain, and I actually do an address. I do a phone number. The phone number is not ever correct, and I do a email address. And the email address is important that it is correct, but I use a different email address. So now the step here now is now we've ordered the domain, we've changed the name on it. It's got its own unique name, first name, last name, address, phone number, email address. Now we're going to get a IP address that's going to be different from all the others, and by that point you're going to have you're going to remove all your footprints, and all your websites are going to look unique and different, and it's going to be practically impossible. I don't know how anyone would track back to you at that point. So you go to hostnine, and probably below this video around it, I've probably got an affiliate link down here. Would appreciate it if you'd support me on that. You're going to pay the same anyways, right? And when you get to hostnine, what you want to purchase here is you want to get a reseller account. Okay, so you go ahead and click on reseller account, and it's going to give you some different plan options down here. And I would just suggest going for level 1. That's what I've got, a level 1 account. Now this level 1 account is only $24.95 per month, and you can hold up to 100 different domains on here, and they'll all have different IP addresses. So if you were to do that with another hosting company, I mean, you just do the math. It's an average of about $4, actually a little more in most cases, per domain to have a unique IP address. Times 100, that's $400 per month. This is $25 per month. It's an absolute steal when you're looking to have unique IP addresses for them, and it's really cool. So that's what I would sign up for. Once you've signed up for it, you're going to receive a kind of really large email. I want to show you mine, and I'm going to gray out some of the areas, and I'll do that throughout this to gray out. I don't want to expose all the niches and the domains that I'm in, but at the same time I want to show you how to do this. So you're going to receive, after you sign up, you're going to receive this monster email. It's going to have all of your detailed information in it, and save that. It's really important to save that. It's going to have all of your important login information and stuff, so save that email address. So next we're going to do is we're going to log in. We're going to take you behind the scenes. We're going to log in to my reseller account, and we're going to go in there. We're going to set up an account. Okay. Okay, so here we are. I'm just going to log in, and once we log in here, the first thing that you're going to want to do, this is going to be the page that you land on here, is that you're going to go over down here to host management. Okay, so at this point what's happened is that you've already purchased a domain name, preferably at GoDaddy, and once you're at GoDaddy, you have changed the name server. Okay, so you purchase a domain name at GoDaddy, and GoDaddy's like, okay, do you want to park it here and host it with us, or do you want to point this domain and host it with somebody else? We want to host it with someone else. And in the previous video, I went over that. If you need more instructions on how to do that, one thing I like about GoDaddy, and that's the reason I recommend them and I use them, is because if I got any questions, I can call them 24/7 and speak to a live person, right? And that's how cool is that? So if you have any questions about that, just contact them. Now, this service is a lot less expensive. It's a bonus. They don't have any live support, but their tickets get answered really quickly. So if you do create a ticket and you got a question for them, then they'll get back to you usually within an hour or so. So anyways, that's kind of the trade-off with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to Hosting Manager right here, and I'm going to go to Create New Account. So I create new account. Waiting for a second for that to pop up. Okay, so then I'm going to enter in the domain name. Now when you enter in the domain name, leave out the HTTP and leave out the www. So you're just going to put in, your domain, .com or whatever it is. And then you're going to enter in a username. This is the username to access the account once you've created it. Okay, so whatever password that you want to, or whatever username that you want to do. You're going to do a contact email, and the contact email, I use the same email because I want all of the domains, if there's ever any issues with them, whatever, I want them to come to an email that I regularly check. So I would enter in an email address that is readily accessible to you. Then this is going to be a password. This will be a password for this account, and then you confirm the password, so you're good there. And then on this side over here, you're going to drop it up or drop it down, and you can pick some of these, like this is Amsterdam, Berkshire. I would only pick those if you're actually doing business in those particular areas, or you can select those and then you would create a Webmaster Google account, and then in the Webmaster Google account you would then let Google know that you want this domain to point and be of service to people in the United States or whatever country that you're working in. And it doesn't take very long, maybe a few days or so, and then the search engines know, because Google has now, it's not going off of where the server is based. Say and they have one in Singapore too. I think it's full today. That's not why it's showing up. That way, if you got a domain name, say in Amsterdam, if you go back into a Google Webmaster account, you can then go back in there and switch it and say, hey, even though my domain address is Amsterdam, I'm really doing business in the United States, and so that's where I want my search. That's where I want my domain to show up in the search engines, and it will change. I've done it before. It's successful, no problems. Especially when you got like a .com or a .net or .org URL at the end of it. So, but other than that, in the United States, they got Central, West, East, and Cloud. I don't do the Cloud. The Cloud's an extra $3 a month. You can do that if you want. I don't. I've never used it, to be honest with you. So you just select one, and I try to rotate it, and I'll show you a list of some of the domains here in a second. So you just kind of rotate it. So if maybe yesterday, a few days ago, the last server I selected was maybe the West Coast in the U.S., and then when I enter in another domain name and set it up here, I would do East Coast, and then if I was going to do another domain here, then I'd probably go back up to Central and then rotate it like that. You'll see why we want to do that in a second. Okay, so let's just say Central. This is going to be something, you can set up here different kinds of accounts, and you want to set up just a basic account, and so the basic option is just the base option on here. Skeleton, just put don't install, and then at the bottom on here you're going to have some choices on here. Select, we're not doing Joomla. If you're familiar with me, I do just WordPress, and I highly recommend you only do WordPress. And so you do WordPress, and it will then install the basic WordPress right on this domain right away. So then you just bam, create account, and within like 2 minutes you're going to receive a confirmation email. You'll also receive a confirmation on the screen that is going to give you some important information, and let me find an example of that. Okay, so you're going to receive a confirmation email in here. It's going to look something like this. It'll have the domain, and this is the domain nowcustomer.com. And then you're going to have the IP address. Very important to record all this stuff down. I'll show you how I do that. And then the cPanel login, which is going to be basically it's the URL, the raw URL address with the IP address in here, username and password, and then you're all set to go. So what you're going to want to do next here is let's go ahead and you'd want to go into the cPanel and just make sure. What's kind of a little bit buggy about this is that sometimes the system will automatically install a WordPress for you, and sometimes it doesn't, even though you saw in the previous screen where you requested that it does install a WordPress blog. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. You'll know right away because you'll type in the address in the URL. You go to the website and you'll either see kind of a white screen with a little index on it, or you'll see the latest WordPress blog on there. So let's say that you logged in your URL and you did not see a WordPress blog. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go into your cPanel, and there are a ton of explanation videos on how to use cPanel on YouTube. I'm going to show you what I know, and it's the only thing that I know about cPanel because it's the only thing that I actually do on cPanel. So what you're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just enter in that cPanel account right there, and it's going to bring me to a screen that'll pop up, and it's right here, the cPanel. I'm going to enter in the username and the password. Okay, so I've logged in here. It's going to ask me, do I need help getting started? I'm going to say no, I'm fine. The only thing that I know how to do back here, but it works, is I just go down and I find this little blue smiley face. Where is it? Right there, that blue smiley face. Okay, so just kind of look around for the blue smiley face. Fantastico Deluxe. You're going to click on that blue smiley face, and it's going to bring you here. Now, the only reason you'd come here is that if it didn't install WordPress for you. So you'd come in here, and very simple to do. You just come over here to the left-hand side. You see WordPress. You'd click it, and it'll automatically have. Well, it's already installed it on here, so I can't give you the example on that. Let me see if I can get an example here. Hang on one second. I guess I can go forward with it. So we just go new installation. So I've gone WordPress, new installation, and the only information that I'm going to fill out here, this will automatically have the right domain name there because you logged into this domain and you just got one URL per domain. Install directory, I leave that blank. Admin access, okay, this is important on here. I like to keep this information the same as my login to my account. So I want all my usernames and passwords exactly the same. So whatever username and password that we created when we created the account back, let's go back into here where we go create new account. This username and password, I'm going to keep it the same all across the board. So that's where we got here. So I'm going to use the same username and password here, and I'm going to press install WordPress, and it's done instantly, just like that. Go to about 2 or 3 minutes, and then just go type in your URL, and you will have your WordPress blog installed. It's just that simple. Okay, so now let me take you into, and I'm going to gray out some of these areas on here, but I'm going to come in here and I want to view my accounts. I don't want to do that. I want to view all my accounts. There we go. To go to my accounts and list accounts. And I just kind of want to show you something here. These are all the IP addresses and the locations of those IP addresses. And I kind of want to show you something here. let's just look at the first one. This first one, this particular IP address is located in the west coast of the United States, and this is the address. Now let's go down to another one that is on the west coast. Notice that the first part of the IP address 174 is the same here. 3736 is different, so it's going to be different all the way through. So that's a very different IP address. A lot of times you hear people talk about, you need at least a unique class C different IP address. What they mean by that is this first set of numbers is A, the second set of numbers is B, and this is C. So what the so-called norm out there, and is really popular throughout the internet, is that, hey, we want to have different IP address, different class C. So that means these first classes A and B are the same, but the class C, that's the class D, the fourth one, is different. So they're saying the class C is different. I don't necessarily think that's that important. In fact, I don't really care about that kind of stuff. I can have a different class D and I'm okay with that. In other words, I can have a whole bunch of domains with the first class A, the 174 the same, B 37 the same, and 183 the same. But if D back here is different, I'm okay with it. Why? Because I've got a different name with every single domain name that I buy. I've got a different address. I've got a different phone number. I've got a different email address. I've got different content. I mean, it's totally different. And in this world where people are sharing hosts and stuff like this, it's all different. So I'm not worried about it. But you'll see here how much different this is. 174, 173. So this one is a class B. So the difference between these two. Let's look at some other West ones. And here's another West one. Now look, these two are the same, right? 17436. 159, but this is 37 and that's 40. So that's a difference. These two are a difference of a class D IP address, and I'm okay with that. Now there's other SEO people out there that say, oh, no way, I can't do it. I've never ever, and I have thousands and thousands of different addresses, and do they ever have the same IP address? No, but some of them have just only a different D, but they have everything else is completely different. So let's take a look at some other examples. Here's another West one. This is 173 West 173. Oh, West and East is okay. So here's one that's here's a West one at 173. Here's an East one at 173. Then 192, 192, 189. See, so in 220. So those two addresses are different on a class C level, which supposedly the norm out there. That's what you want to achieve for. Let's take a look at some central ones. Here's a central one that starts with a 7.4. Here's a central one that starts with a 6.7. So those are completely different IP addresses from an A standard. Here's a central. Here's three centrals. Here's a central. Here's a 7.4 central. Here's a 7.486. They're the same. This is a 183. This is a 183. This is a 197 and a 210. So those two are actually class D difference. Okay. Again, I'm okay with that. I've never had any issues with that whatsoever. And I'm only paying $25 a month here per 100 different IP addresses. I'm okay with that. If you're not, then go out and get different IP class C addresses and pay $400 a month for the same damn thing. Except you'll have all class Cs, right? So I'm not worried about that. So what'll happen is that if you're uploading a whole bunch of domain names at one time, you're going to find, because as they grow, they rotate and they expand out their IP addresses. So if I were to do maybe 10 Western IP addresses in one day, I'm going to get a couple that are going to be the same. So that's why I suggested earlier that when you go in, and if you are entering in a lot of domains in one day, then you're going to need to rotate it. You're going to have to, the first one's going to be West, the second one Central, the other one East, and you may want to find a different one on top of that, maybe a foreign one as well. Just make sure that you go back and you change the location of it in your Google Wordmaster to point to the US. But if you're entering in maybe 1 or 2 or 5 domains per week, then you're going to find that they get rotated around quite a bit and they build up new ones. So I want you to be aware of that. I think that's about it. So, well, this video is getting kind of long. So the only other thing that you need to do on here, okay, is the first thing that we need to do is it starts with a domain name, and going through GoDaddy, create a buyer's profile, an individual one for each and every domain name to remove all of the footprints, and then you're going to have a different IP address here, and everyone will have a different IP address. Some of them class D, some C, some class A, some class B. Okay, and the only other thing that would be traceable is your name server, and that's not so critical, but I also changed the name server on here, and you can actually do that on here. You can change the name server at no extra cost. And most other hosting accounts, if you want a different IP address and you want different name servers, they then charge you even more. And here it's free. It's kind of a little complicated process, but I'll make a detailed video of it and you can learn how to do that. So at the end of the day, what you've got is you've got a domain name that's got a unique person's name on it, a unique address, a unique phone number, a unique email address. It's got a unique domain name, and it's got a unique name server name. You can't trace that. There's absolutely no footprints left behind on that. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Support this video by purchasing hostnine through my affiliate link somewhere around this video. I would appreciate it very much. Take care. Hope you enjoyed that.